Yeah.
oh, man.
Live from your tech bro ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. It's yet another Manic Monday edition of Business Pants, joined by analyst Hall Matt Moscardi. Yeah.
I am unbelievably exhausted already.
In today's protected CEO class called November 20th, 2023, the Sam Altman Show featuring Satya Nadella. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this might be the Satya Nadella Show featuring Sam Altman.
Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFlow Analytics, the only ESG data platform to measure real board influence. I mean, it does other stuff, but that's
it does a lot of other
does.
stuff.
Yeah.
It puts the people back in the market.
That's what
I like that it does.
All right, Matt, let's just get to it. Let's stop joking around.
Wait, you have a preamble here because
but the preamble is actually a bridge. It builds into the story.
So bridge me. Let's do it.
You know how there are, I've never actually had one of these. I've seen them on TV, but they have these big progressive tasting menus that cost like $25,000 at these fancy restaurants that people buy.
I'm going to say yes, but this seems like unicorns and fairies to me.
So our show today is a truncated version of that tasting menu. So it all tastes like tech bro shoe leather. But it's building to something. So just bear with me here. The headline that truly dope slapped me this morning was this one, and again it leads to the bigger story, and that is that Bill Ackman is defending Elon Musk amid the ex-owner's anti-Semitism controversy.
Oh right, finally someone's defending Elon.
And I just wanted to cover this because I think that the mania of this story, Matt, will help kind of like it's a palate cleanser for the main story of the day, which is the ousting of OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. So let me try to do this, okay?
Okay, I don't like this palate cleanser.
So Ackman, this is just unbelievable. Bill Ackman, who's waged a personal campaign on social media against people he perceives as anti-Semites, wrote on X that Musk is, quote, not an anti-Semite.
Oh,
okay.
Has he read anything Elon Musk has
said? He
says
it is remarkable how quickly the world stands ready to attack Musk for his shoot from the hip commentary. Musk is not perfect, but the world is a vastly better place because of him.
Oh, but not the 19-year-old Harvard students who may also go on to change the world, but are now doxxed and throwing up in Harvard Yard. Because
he's not saying it's remarkable how quickly that he stands ready to attack the students from their shoot from the hip company.
No.
Now, ready, Matt, just to make this all the more bizarre. Okay. In his defense of Musk, Ackman reposted a video from conservative political pundit Ben Shapiro, who said Musk was unjustly being labeled as some sort of crypto Nazi. So you see, Matt, how this works. The tech bro,
a Jew said it.
A tech bro used basically a Nazi supporting white supremacist type to defend Musk from not being okay. I know this is a little bit much.
Ben Shapiro is Jewish, right? And he is open.
I guess in the same way that Jesus Christ is Jewish.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the same way that Jews for Jesus are Jewish. I don't know what we're talking about.
It's really like posting a video of a gay person saying that Republicans don't hate gay people as they make policies that hate gay people.
Trans celeb Caitlyn Jenner, who is notoriously against all trans rights.
Exactly. So
you use her as
just
your
got
model.
The one. That's so you can just repost that thing.
So that's the background of this crazy, Matt. Because believe me, I'm trying to make a bridge here. I'm trying to create a bridge.
Put this together because I'm lost.
Because here's the uncomfortable bridge: is that let's not forget that Elon Musk was one of the first two directors at OpenAI. He was not one of the co-founders.
True. Nobody talks about how he is OpenAI,
and he said that the public needs to know why OpenAI fired Sam Altman, right?
Okay. He says lots of stuff.
He said that OpenAI was created as an open source, which is why I named it OpenAI, a non-profit company to serve as a counterweight to Google, but now It has become a closed source, maximum profit company effectively controlled by Microsoft. Not what I intended at all. So that's the bridge to our main story at OpenAI. Matt, I hate to tell you, but I can't speak for you, but Elon Musk might be on my side for something. I might be agreeing with Elon for once.
Maybe. I mean, that might maybe.
Okay, let's go to the main story. I'm going to give you a quick timeline, and then Matt, you can jump in and do all kinds of your crazy dancing.
I don't want. Yeah, I have lots of thoughts and no thoughts. I don't know how to handle this.
Here's a quick timeline for people who have an actual life and pay attention to their, raking their leaves or their families or whatever. On Friday, and this is, again, Matt, this is a little uncomfortable for us because unfortunately, OpenAI is not in our database because it's not a publicly traded company. So we're not we've never been able to scrutinize it properly.
It's not even a for-profit company, technically. So this is,
and that's where this story starts. But let me give you a quick timeline. OpenAI board on Friday fires CEO Sam Altman, which also one of the co-founders. Although there are many co-founders of this company, so it's not like they just fired the founder. And then President Greg Brockman, another co-founder, I believe, quits after being removed from the board. So the four directors fired CEO Sam Altman as CEO and from the board, and they also removed Greg Brockman from the board. Okay, Altman's gone, Brockman quit. They named Mira Murati as interim CEO. And then on the weekend, everything went crazy. So the stories went back and forth in the business news that the board immediately regretted this because investors were angry. They tried to get Sam Altman to come back. Right, I mean that was the tone, and I don't know that any of that is really true, other than the investors being angry. I think that part is true. Investors meaning maybe Microsoft. I don't know.
We definitely know that the investors are angry, and we definitely know that the employees are angry. We don't know.
Yes.
We don't know, like, whether or not the board deeply regretted it as a board, or whether or not Altman was invited back to negotiate a return within the 24 hours of being gone.
It's all possible.
We don't know
possible.
That. So nobody knows really.
So as of Sunday, there were reports that he's back in the building. As Matt was saying, he's potentially negotiating his return. On Monday, we learned that all of that has been blown up because the deep pockets CEO of Microsoft, known as Satya Nadella, came in and essentially blew up OpenAI by hiring Sam Altman and Greg Brockman to essentially start an AI subsidiary, I don't know what you would call it, at Microsoft using the OpenAI brain trust. And then the interim CEO of OpenAI had did she tweet? What did she do? She had an announcement supporting Sam Altman, and then the board fired her and replaced her with a second interim CEO, and that is of all things, the former CEO of Twitch, Emmett Shear. He is. I mean, my head is spinning with tech bro nonsense. I am
we've
overwhelmed.
Had 2 interim CEOs in 48 hours. We've had the face of AI in Sam Altman go from fired to renegotiating potentially to hired by the 49% owner of OpenAI and Microsoft.
And that's where this gets tricky.
So here's what I think. I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm going to give you my immediate.
Well, you think there's a lead?
Thought.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, even if I was going to bury it. In this governance gasm that is the open maw of the OpenAI apocalypse, whatever this thing is, I think it's actually the greatest acquisition of all time. But
which part of it? The original Microsoft investment into OpenAI, or what's happening now?
Well, the original Microsoft investment was a positioning investment. They wanted full access and licensing with the architecture, and that was a long-term play. They spent $10 billion to basically buy 49% of OpenAI, which is controlled by a nonprofit. Okay?
And that's the important part here, because what everybody misunderstands is that the board didn't rise up in some crazy fit of power and remove its CEO. The board's mandate was to protect the nonprofit status, the vision of OpenAI as being something that was not going to destroy humanity by scaling up, by focusing on growth, by focusing on greed. That was all it really had to do. It had to preserve that
part
nature.
of the charter.
So it was doing its job by firing Sam Altman.
So, and this is where I really wanted, I'm going to out my bias here.
Can't
I really wanted, as I'm like doing a deep dive on Saturday and Sunday into all the people involved, because that's what we do. We look at all the people involved. I really wanted to find out that they were all like tech bro interconnected, like it was all this big plan to like take OpenAI from a nonprofit and turn it into a for-profit. They oust Sam Altman because he was in the way of that. Like I that was the narrative I thought going in. And the more I dug and the more I looked, I actually think this is governance functioning as it should, as in the charter of the organization was a nonprofit charter to do no harm, AI, safety, guardrails on humanity, all that stuff. I actually think that's what it was. In fact, one of the co-founders is quoted as saying, how did he phrase it? He said, the quote was, Mr. Sutskever, who's one of the Ilya Sutskever.
He's the chief scientist officer, chief scientist at OpenAI.
Was worried that Mr. Altman was too focused on building OpenAI's business while not paying enough attention to the dangers of AI. So literally, they're saying in the boardroom, we are going way out on the profit maximization end and not nearly paying enough attention to the potential safety implications of this. Which, I mean, that feels good. Like, it feels good to know there might be an adult in the room somewhere.
The New York Times reported that Sutskever, I know we're both butchering his name. This is the key person I think here involved. He's a co-founder. He's a board member, and according to many reports, he played the key role in getting rid of Sam Altman. The New York Times is reporting that he created a super alignment team within the company before Altman was fired to ensure that future versions of GPT-4, the technology behind ChatGPT, would not be harmful to humanity.
Correct.
Right. So as Altman was out there trying to like maximize the for-profit part of this, it sounds like he stepped in to kind of take control. And my guess is that this didn't happen overnight. And this is where the business news is always full of shit. First of all, their outrage about this, I'll talk about in a few seconds. But my guess is that there were several thousand conversations between Ilya and Sam being like, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is
I'm sure.
not what we're intended for. This didn't happen suddenly. I mean, come on.
It wasn't like yesterday they went off they were like, you just went off the cliff. It doesn't happen like that.
No, in fact, there are reports that Ilya burnt an effigy representing at a company meeting, burnt an effigy of what was meant to represent AI becoming a greedy for profit world killer, essentially. So this has been in the works.
It worked.
And ostensibly there were employees at that effigy burning where Ilya was trying to preserve humanity who were supporting that at the time, despite the fact now that they're all crying and want to go work for Microsoft. So
here's why
my point is that this did not just suddenly happen.
It not only did I was clearly building to this, but now this is why I think Satya Nadella and Reid Hoffman, who's on the board of Microsoft, and you
mentioned Reid Hoffman because he was an investor and board member at OpenAI,
the original funder with Musk in the creation of OpenAI. So, and he is an outspoken like AI evangelist, right? So. But this is why I think basically Satya is playing, remember that hologram board game that they played, the Millennium Falcon and Star Wars?
Vaguely.
Satya's playing like that hologram board game, and everybody else is like, spinning a hoop outside in the 14th century.
Yeah, that's where I would be.
That's the
with the
level.
Hoop spinners.
That's the difference in like gamesmanship.
Maybe.
Here's what I think.
Yeah.
They managed to get access to all of the IP. They own 49% of the company. They have license agreements. They've already built it into, their Bing, pointlessness. And it's in Azure. They've got it going into, Microsoft Word and Excel and all of their applications, whatever. It's going to be embedded in the OS, in the next year or two, right? Fully embedded. they've already got that going on. They spent $10 billion to basically get that, to get 49% of a fake company, a nonprofit company, and get access to all that. But then the board does them the favor of worrying about humanity, firing their leader and their president, 2 co-founders, and then every employee does Microsoft the great boon of saying, we follow Sam, effectively. In fact, trending on Twitter is OpenAI is nothing without its people. And 500 of the 700 employees signed a letter saying the board should immediately resign because of this. All of this is happening.
In fact, they have I read the letter, Matt. It's basically a big threat saying we're going to go to Microsoft.
Yes.
Again, and let's remind everyone that OpenAI was created as a non-for-profit. So they signed up for this intentionally, knowingly signed up for this, and now are threatening, of all places, to go to $1 trillion cap company Microsoft. But here's, Matt, here's the part that made me laugh, because we are a company about people, is that one of their demands, they're going to resign.
I like to have a list of demands.
They're going to resign unless they immediately reinstate Sam Altman and Greg Brockman. And they want, of all things, they want two new lead independent directors. I don't think they understand the phrase lead independent director. Right?
Yeah, there's only one at a time. That's how that works.
One of the people they want, of all people, is former co-CEO of Salesforce, former chair of Twitter, and Stanford, bro, tech boy, Brett Taylor. That they want Brett Taylor is supposed to come in and save the. I mean, what do they think they're preserving though?
I don't know what this
have they read the bylaws of what OpenAI is supposed to be? Do they know what OpenAI is?
But this is Satya's great coup. He bought the entire OpenAI team for $10 billion and some donuts in the coffee room, right?
Yes. This is what I think
this
happened.
This is amazing.
I think what happened was that Sam convinced Ilya. Sam is a fast talking CEO, authoritarian type. He's a tech bro-y Stanford dropout, right? He's that kind of guy. I think what happened was he talked Ilya into letting Microsoft invest because it'd be good for the future of OpenAI. It would preserve their hollowed non-for-profit status. It's the right thing to do. I think Ilya, got bowled over by this, agreed to it, and then realized later that this is what was happening. Matt, you're right. It was a coup by Microsoft to take over this company, and I think Ilya did the only thing he really could do was fire Sam Altman, because again, it's not what OpenAI was intended to be, and now the whole company is kind of paying for this. Can I tell you one other thing, Matt?
Yeah,
because what I think the true heart of all this is basically something that we have been talking about here, and that other shows in the political space also talk about. We talk about it it's the same thing, but we talk about it in different ways. The thing that strikes me is that our culture is becoming more and more obsessed with authoritarian rule, right? Like we are fetishizing authoritarian rule, whether it's, like the Mark
this
Zuckerberg
keeps coming up. Yeah.
Whether it's Mark Zuckerberg, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's the duopoly at Google, or whether it's Donald Trump, let's not forget that the country has coalesced around hating Joe Biden essentially because he is the ultimate small d Democrat, right? He leads by a team. He leads by because as an elected official, as a bureaucrat. And our country is obsessed with Donald Trump because he wants to be an authoritarian ruler. And this is what's happening here, Matt, is that nobody, certainly not the employees, certainly not the people on Twitter, certainly not the business news, everybody failed to grasp that what the board was doing at OpenAI made perfect sense. Instead, they rushed in to cry and lament over the fact that another one of its tech founder bros was fired, and that can't be in our society, Matt, because this is a protected class of people. The board should not be able to provide oversight over a CEO. They shouldn't be able to fire them. That was the takeaway.
And we should say who's on this board, because that's actually an important point, right?
Tired of talking.
Well, this board is not it is not a bunch of VC founder, tech bro types. There is Adam D'Angelo, who is the CEO and founder of Quora. He's the one tech bro. The read on him is pretty pure tech bro. Went to Phillips Exeter. Went to
spam.
What's that?
Is Quora a real company? I always thought it was like a spammy question and answering weird.
It is a question and answer thing, but now they're big on AI to do question and answers.
Oh,
in fact, I think his incentives were OpenAI is now a competitor to what we've been building at Quora. So like, I actually think he has an incentive to not blow it up, but like not actually have it function as well, because he co-built, you know how Mark Zuckerberg built like a music player before he did Facebook?
Okay.
He co-built it with Zuck. He was the CTO of Facebook.
At Harvard?
It was in high school. It was in high school.
Okay. And it was Phillips Exeter, right? Exactly. That's where.
But all of his backers, all of his funders for Quora include Benchmark Capital, who is eBay, Twitter, Uber. They're part of like the PayPal mafia types, and Tiger Global, who funded SBF. They were one of the biggest funders of SBF. So it sounds like he's highly interconnected in this world.
But it sounds like he's aligned with the Musk thought here, which is that that Sam was running counter to what the true nature of OpenAI is supposed to be.
But D'Angelo voted out Altman, which means he might have been voting for individual incentive, right? Like Quora versus OpenAI.
Or he was doing his job on the board.
Or he's doing his job.
Because
again, I like to think the worst of everybody. So
because the important part of this board, once again, is that the non-for-profit part of OpenAI controls the for-profit part, and its mandate on the board is to preserve that above everything else. And again, that board obviously thought that Sam Altman was destroying that mandate.
But here are the other two. So we know Ilya voted out Altman. Here are the other.
But it must have been a 4-2 vote, right? It had to.
It was 4-2. We know D'Angelo voted out Altman, and we know these other two voted out. All the outsiders voted Altman out, which suggests that even if they had individual incentives that were not aligned with, having Altman there, they all did their duty in as much as if he's profit maximizing, and there's good reason to think he was, because I read the transcript from 10 days ago. Altman was on stage with Satya Nadella 10 days ago at the Microsoft Ignite conference. Okay. It's like their version of the Apple conference where they show all their new shit and everyone like loses their mind. The world.
Ignite's a harsh analogy. Yeah.
But in the transcript, Altman comes out first as the keynote and basically talks about all the products that they're building, right? And how they are offering this new like GPT-4 Turbo, and everything's about no,
I know, Matt, because this open source company that's supposedly non-for-profit, I went in there this morning because you asked me to try to generate an image based on some keywords, and I couldn't even do it because I got hit by all these product walls telling me I needed to buy tokens. I need to do this. I was like, what the hell is this company anymore? I mean,
but he talked for a long time about all of the models and all these product builds. And then Satya comes on and they're like, they're being like, awesome. I can't wait to see this. This is amazing. These are great examples of what we can do together. And basically he sounded like he was already inside of Microsoft building Microsoft products that they can sell, right? That's what it sounded like.
Because as the minority shareholder you said 49%? They had 49%?
Yeah, 49%.
Microsoft essentially was controlling Sam Altman. And I think that's clearly why Ilya was pushing back, right?
But I think he gets off stage and he shows up at gets a call from the board, and he shows up and he's talking to the board, and they're all like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you pitching our products at a Microsoft conference, right? Like, what are we doing now? Are we just selling products?
Is this conjecture? Is this your conjecture, or
this is my conjecture? Okay, I'm guessing. Right. I'm guessing he gets off stage. They call him up. They're like, are we a nonprofit with a mission to protect humanity and build responsible AI? Or are you selling products at a Microsoft conference?
Yeah,
which one is real?
This is why I cry bullshit about how the business news covers everything, because they made it seem like it was a sudden coup in the middle of the night. But Matt, I absolutely agree that this conversation that probably happened after that Microsoft conference, but I bet you that conversations have been happening for the last 18 months.
So here are the other board members that vote, like are a part of this conversation. Okay. Helen Toner. Okay, she's an academic. She's a 30-year-old. She's an academic. She's studying safety of emerging technologies.
Oh, that's good.
She's the director of foundational research grants for the Georgetown Center of Security and Emerging Technology, which
seems okay.
Here's, of course, they all have conflicts, right? Because this program is funded by grants from Open Philanthropy, the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, Noble Reach Foundation, the Musk Foundation,
right?
Patrick McGovern Foundation, Public Interest Technology University. So that's Hewlett is big tech. The grandkids run it now. He's old school big tech. Noble Reach is funded by the CIA. Okay. It's a CIA-run program.
Sure.
Musk, another old tech bro, and a university network.
But again, this doesn't surprise me, Matt. I mean, this again, if we where I'm aligned with Musk here is that I would be against Sam Altman. I'd be with Helen Toner. You know what I mean?
But this gets to your theory that like 7 authoritarians really run the world, because all of the funders of these are like Dustin Moskowitz, one of the co-founders of Facebook, is founded this group. Like, and she worked for him before. Basically, she's big NGO, but she's 30 years old and her whole career has been like studying how this goes wrong, right? So that's pretty good person to have on this board.
But she's not even a true academic, right? She only has a bachelor's. That's as far as she went?
No, she's worked in academics, right? Like she's worked with academics. She's all the university networks, and like she's worked around these things.
I mean, the other obvious takeaway here.
She's not a tech bro. That's the point.
The other problematic takeaway here, of course, is that entities like big tech and the billionaires that control them, they have the ability to take risk everywhere. I mean, there's no risk, right? But they can invest in basically everything without any risk, right? And this is part of the problem. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. No, they can, of course. I mean, that's the way it's set up.
Right. So they can dump a bunch of money into something called OpenAI, and they can see where it goes, and they can control it from the sidelines. But no other entities can regulators can't get any control over this. Other entities can't really get involved because they don't have the capital. All right, go ahead.
So
I'm losing my train of thought here because we have 400 pages of notes, and we're trying to wrap up a bizarre story. So go ahead.
So we'll wrap this up by looking at the last person here, who is Tasha McCauley. She's she's the CEO of a group called GeoSim Systems. But what she's really known as is the wife of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the actor. That's people know her as that. Okay. Her dad is the chair of the board of GeoSim Systems. Oh. She's not the founder. One of the founders is a guy named Chris Weisinger, who was the CEO and founder of GeoSim, but now he's a strategic advisor to GeoSim.
How did she end up on this board?
She basically is not. I don't understand what this is, except like she's an engineer. I think she has a basic interest in this. It's like sort of family-ish, firmish, but not really.
She's a proxy for somebody, right? She's on the board as a proxy.
Glass Cliffy CEO. Who knows? I don't know what this is, but there's no big Silicon Valley investors in the company. It just seems like one of those things where they have some money as a family and decided to build this cool thing, and she's an engineer, and I don't even know. I can't find any information on her. How does she get on the board of potentially the most impactful AI company? I have no idea.
Maybe this speaks to yet another problem when we are trying to solve here at Free Flow is that the culture, society in general has dropped the pretension that boards do a thing anymore, right? They don't think of these boards. They don't think of them as
rubber stamp machines.
Yeah, they don't need to be comprised of people who have the ability to provide oversight and to have a backbone and have the right skills and experiences to counteract people like Sam Altman. They think that they're just there to hang out and to rubber stamp and to go to the parties, and we see this across the board at almost all S&P 500 companies. So maybe this is speaking to a different problem, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably the key. They do not expect to hire. These are people who are actually look like two of the three look like actual outsiders. Like there's some connective tissue, but they're not embedded in the Silicon Valley VC world. One was, but what it appears to be is they got three people who are relatively thoughtful about the the specific mission of this nonprofit, who, regardless of the fact that they don't have juice in this industry, they sat down and said, well, we're doing this wrong. Like, and you're doing this wrong. And they must have had this conversation over months, if not years, of what it means to do this right. And they get to a point where this is where they end up being short-sighted. This is where they can't anticipate the ripple effect. Mm-hmm. They do the right thing and don't realize
this is going to get to, yeah.
Don't realize that everybody else not only expects them to do the wrong thing, but hates that they did the right thing, including the fucking employees who are quitting in droves to go profit maximize themselves. They joined a nonprofit company with a specific mission, and they must have known that mission. And they immediately, the minute they get an opportunity to go somewhere else and make money, I'm
guessing it was the first thing they would talk about at parties. It was their differentiator. Like, oh yeah, you think I'm an asshole working at a big tech company? Actually, I work for a non-for-profit, OpenAI. Have you heard of it? Okay, here's here. Let's try to wrap this up somehow. With this is that yes, it does appear as of Monday morning to be one of the few instances we've seen recently where a board did exactly what it should have done. It had the courage to speak to its mandate. It had the courage to take down a CEO. And again, we've referenced this in the past. Sam Altman was not an equity holder. He had not finagled the board in any way so that he controlled all the votes, right? He's not Mark Zuckerberg. He's not Elon Musk. He doesn't have his brother on the board, any of that kind of crap. So he was, technically able to be fired. This appears to be a case where the board did the right thing for humanity, but nobody seemed to care. The immediate backlash, the whole culture immediately was against this decision, it seems.
I actually think the backlash is not even about the board themselves. Mm-hmm. It's about it is like the inherently greedy VCE tech bro-y nature of the organisms that are created out there. Because if this board does the right thing, Microsoft does the right thing for them. They do. Sure. They are profit maximizing. They immediately go out and say, we will take the entire team, we will walled garden them. And the governance structure goes from being a vague group of people in a fake nonprofit with a mission that, like, apparently 4 people have a tremendous amount of control of the outcomes in this company, to Reid Hoffman's on the board. Satya Nadella is, they're big tech. They're Microsoft. This is like what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. They can buy a company for $10 billion that should have cost them $90 billion, and they immediately do it because that's the smart play. And what everyone freaks out about, even Musk's tweet betrays this. Mm-hmm. Microsoft got them. It's not the problem. If X had bought them, right? Like if it was Musk himself who bought these people and brought them into his AI company, do you think he would have had a problem with it? No. The problem is everyone's now like, fuck, Microsoft got them.
Yeah, because
now
remember,
they're all gone. They're all there.
Because remember, it was Elon Musk who called for a pause in the AI world. But everyone
and his
knew.
Pause was so he could build his own AI company.
Yes, to further his. No, you're absolutely right. But let me leave you on this, and we can talk about this. The man who we're supposing is the chief architect of getting rid of Sam Altman to preserve OpenAI was one of its co-founders and chief scientist, Ilya Sutskever. I always say I'm going to learn how to pronounce names, and I never do.
Yeah.
He had this post this morning, this tweet. He said, I deeply regret my participation in the board's actions. I never intended to harm OpenAI. I love everything we built together, and I will do everything I can to reunite the company. But Matt, I don't know how you read this, but here's how I read this. I don't read this that he think he did the wrong thing. I think that what I'm reading this as someone who was not a natural born leader, not a natural born CEO, who didn't play that 3D chess you were talking about in Star Wars accurately, and realize that this could unravel this amazing thing that he has helped to build. He didn't foresee how the employees would react. He didn't foresee the hissy fit that would come out of Brockman and Altman, and he is regretting that it unraveled this way. But I assure you, he's not regretting the actual intellectual decision to fire the CEO, who's now looking for
it's the realization that the thing that mattered most to him, that AI has guardrails, like this super alignment team that he put together, that his conversation about like, this isn't about profit maximization. We have mission drift happening. Like that seemed to be by all the quotes that I've seen about him, that seemed to be consistent for him. I think it's the realization that like all that stuff that he cared about will disappear in an instant if people aren't individually incentivized by profit, right? Like he's like, I think he can't believe that 500 of the 700 employees would quit a place whose mission was to better humanity. I think he can't believe that.
Because once again, we're on this like CEO founder fetish thing, right? Because as you started off the show by calling Sam Altman basically the face of AI. And that's what you have here is a cult of personality, because there is no reason. Maybe 30 people leave. Sure. They're enticed by working for Microsoft. 500 out of 700 because there is clearly a cult of personality going on over there with Sam Altman, right? 500. I guarantee he's just 8,000 times more charismatic than Ilya, and that's the end of the story. Because this is just the nature of these things. I mean, my sad, cynical, pessimistic takeaway is that finally you see a board or just somebody doing the right thing, and it means nothing. Like it, in fact, it might actually turn out to be an even worse thing. Yeah.
I have two takeaways and one prediction to end this show. My two takeaways are baller move by Microsoft, buying a $90 billion company for $10 billion.
Okay, but sure. But again, but to my point, Matt, look, but they could have swallowed that $10 billion if it failed. It doesn't matter. Like there's no risk for companies of that size.
I know there's no risk. It doesn't matter. It's still a baller move.
Okay,
you still look at it and you say like, look, they saw an opportunity.
Great.
And if it wasn't Microsoft recognized that somebody else was going to do it anyway, right? Like that's the nature of this game theory, profit maximization. So kudos to them. Shrewd, smart thinking right there. Yeah. Also, the board at OpenAI did probably, in all likelihood, by all accounts, the absolute right thing. They did exactly it would appear as if Monday morning to do.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to learn this afternoon that actually, something, I don't know, that Ilya was like burning, people's toes in the bathroom, but whatever. I mean, it would appear that they absolutely did the right thing, and this is our hero board for the moment.
And here's my prediction. If the board wants to follow through on doing the right thing, and I don't know what the covenants are, I don't know what the nature of the license agreements are, they need to immediately terminate any license ability to Microsoft. They kill all contracts with Microsoft. They have to, because they know that everything that they built is effectively going to be poached by Microsoft. And if their mission is guardrails around humanity for this technology, and Microsoft's mission is profit maximization, they have to follow their mission by terminating what they're doing with Microsoft and protecting the IP. Force Altman and the team to rebuild from scratch and not using their existing architecture.
It's really unbelievable.
If they don't,
yeah. Let's not forget that Sam Altman was not one of the original co-founders of OpenAI, too.
He's Y Combinator. He's the president of Y Combinator.
He's one of the initial board members, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that again, like with this CEO founder fetish age that we live in, that he was able to kind of become the face of this is just remarkable. I mean, it really is a remarkable story that leaves me feel even more depressed, I guess.
Let's end there. pure depression.
Exhausting.
I'm exhausted. That's Sammy Morales. I am your analyst hole, Matt Moscardi. We are Free Float. If you want more stuff, we have a show, a proxy show.
Yeah.
We're launching. We'll tease some of that on Wednesday. We're going to drop pieces of it into this channel Wednesday, but look out for that coming soon. We got our Woke Wednesday show. We got our Friday show.
We got too much.
Also, we are raising capital. So
yeah.
if you want a piece of this action, and I don't mean this show, I mean like the data, the analytics, the real action behind the action, send us a shout out. Otherwise, more to come on this most likely, and hopefully we'll never cover it again until later.
Sure.
Goodbye.